Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to badge in and close the vault. You are now listening to the SCIIF International Podcast. I'm your host, Christian the Hype Man Sledge. Got B, Rabble Rouser, everyone's sister in arms, Lorraine Johnson, of course, the leader of our whole crew, one woman crowd, always in style, Michaela Morante. Before we get started, we want to thank all the viewers out there for coming in and joining us. We know your time is precious. You could be anywhere doing anything at this time, but you're with us for the next few minutes. You carried us this far. We just ask you carry us a little bit more and let us know what we can do in order to further service you and share our knowledge. This week, we are in Reflection Week, specifically the things that we wish we knew as young military members. Today, we have a guest. We have T. Combs up in here, who is hot on TikTok, man, known for his education and the recruitment game. Before we get into this video, real quick, T, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, how and why you got into your video content, and most importantly, how can people find you on social media for recruiting education, my man?
All right, cool. So real quick, my name is Tyler Combs. I am prior enlisted. I was in for 8 years as a 1CO, which is Aviation Resource Manager. What got me started with TikTok is the fact that not a lot of people knew how to get started, especially going from enlisted to officer. So what I did is I started making videos on that, and some of them blow up. Some of them don't really blow up that much. Most of them do. If you want to find me on TikTok, it's Hear Me Out, HEARMEOUT.
All right, sweet deal. Well, hopefully all the knowledge that we're going to drop today combined will give folks education on how to further equip themselves and be ready for whatever challenges should they want to be recruited to whatever enlisted officer or whatever the case may be. So with that, let's go and get some alignment going on in here. Let's get one thing straight, you guys. Regardless of service, enlisted or officer, walking into the recruiter's office unprepared is the first battle that you're going to lose, period, dot.
Yep.
It might sound harsh. That might sound harsh, but that's the truth. The recruiter has goals and quotas to fill. So their primary mission isn't designing your perfect future. That's your job. Your job is to be the one that's ready, trying to present your case to the table and see if you got what it takes to be recruited into the armed services. So the purpose and why does this even matter to you? Think of this video as a pre-enlistment intel brief. Your goal is simple: to give you the tools and the mindset in order to walk into that office and control the conversation. I want you to be able to have the armor to be able to walk in and control the conversation using your knowledge and not the other way around. We have all been through this one way or another, whether it's the enlisted path or the officer path. So we know what the heck we're talking about. And we all would argue that, hey, if we could do it a little bit different, we would have done these steps. I watched friends make mistakes that cost them years because they didn't have a plan. So we're going to help you out with that plan. Applicability: most of the audience who are here are serving or have served. The people that watch us already been through this. They might not think that this applies to you, but you are absolutely 100% wrong. You might have brothers, sisters, children who might be interested, and you might be able to help them through that. We also have followers who are not in the military at all, and they want to show interest, and this video is specifically for you. So what makes this video different from all the other recruiting videos that are out there is the fact that we're using our experiences to bring the truth and provide application tips, cheat codes, and help you create a plan to closely align to not only your goals, but the military's goals, DOD, your family. We strictly want you to be smart on the process and why it matters to you. By the end of this, you'll be able to have a plan. You'll be in charge. Let's get you ready. Michaela?
Hi, Flore. As F.R.A.M.E instructors, you are recruiting officers for the next generation of Air and Space Force officers. As a matter of fact, that's how we met Hype. What is on the mind of the recruiter, and how can potential recruit leverage it to their advantage?
Okay. So before you even get started, you got to build a strategy. You determine, hey, I might be interested in this. You got to know who you're talking to and why. That makes sense. What is your purpose? I'm using Lieutenant Colonel Young's page out of his book. What's the purpose? Why are you going here? Why the military of all places? It is not their job to give you that purpose. That's your job. With that being said, a lot of people join for a lot of good reasons, whether patriotism or service. And I'm going to be honest with you, patriotism and service was not on my mind when I walked, my personal experience when I walked in there. Service, I didn't even know what that was, right? You know, my dad served in the Navy. He told me all the cool things he did, but he never talked about like what actual service means. I didn't know that. So it wasn't that was driving me. I was driven by education benefits, career opportunities, stability, paycheck, all those cool things, going to, leaving San Diego, leaving the hood. That's what motivated me. So that's what I walked in with, a purpose and a why. But regardless of what that is, be at peace with what that is. And most of the time, it's something selfish that's driving you to the recruiter's office. Eventually, it all turns into service. So don't be worried about that. But a quick plug here. We talk about people who join for really good reasons that want to serve the community in different ways. I'm not talking about those people who want to join for the wrong reasons, who want to do damage to the community. Y'all know who I'm talking about. This ain't for you. Y'all can kick rocks. These are the people who actually want to go into a positive trajectory and actually do good things for their community and actually build up their community, because we spend way too much time trying to repair the damage that is done from people who use military training to do bad things for the community. These are for people who want to do positive things and contribute to the community in a positive light. Does that make sense? Okay.
Absolutely. And so, Hype, I like how you talked about your why. You really have to know what that is before you go in. But kind of switching gears a little bit and coming from the perspective of a military recruiter, we are essentially professional salespeople. That is our goal, is to get the numbers up for our Air Force, and particularly for enlisted recruiters. Now, coming from an Air Force ROTC recruiting officer perspective, our approach might be a bit different, but the intent is still the same. Yes, we want numbers, but we're definitely going to take quality over quantity. And you got to make sure you understand that before you go in. Something that we used to say at Det 600 was, we are not here to qualify the interested. Our intent is to interest the qualified. And so what that means is, you may not have it all together when you first step through that door, but for the most part, you already have a foundation of work ethic that might be a little refinement, if you will. You have a positive attitude, you're up for the challenge, you're open to constructive feedback, and you're willing to grow. And that's what we're really looking for. You're not coming in to necessarily see how you can benefit from the Air Force, but really how you can contribute to our Air Force with the skills that you are developing and the field that you are interested in. Those who are willing to challenge themselves and willing to grow. What does this look like? I have had future cadets come into my office with a 1.2 or 2.3 GPA, expressing their childhood dream of wanting to become a pilot, right? Not going to happen. We're not doing that, okay? Because you already showed me that you can't dedicate yourself to your academics. Your work ethic is kind of lacking. So how am I going to entrust you with an Air Force career field of a pilot, for example? And so during my time, I definitely took on that tough love grandma bear role, if you will. So if I saw that you really wanted a certain path, you were vectored towards a certain path, but maybe you struggled in some areas, but you at least showed some potential, I was willing to work with you. But if you seemed closed off, you acted like you had everything the Air Force needed, you didn't work well as a team with your fellow cadets, I honestly kind of 86'd you. So it really is about, yes, your why, but also about your attitude and your work ethic.
So you have your purpose, and you know what's pretty much on a recruiter's mind. What should be on the minds of potential recruits now?
Yeah. So the main thing I would say is do your research. That is the main, regardless of your service or your tier. Like, if you don't do your research, you failed from the start. Because you got to understand that the recruiters are the experts. They know the game inside and out. So their job is to get you in. They're not, I don't want to sound callous with this and say they don't care about your goals and your aspirations, but you got to remember, at the end of the day, this is a business. They're trying to meet their quotas and satisfy that, and they will stop at nothing to make that happen. So sometimes it could come into play like, all right, you might get told some fibs. Not outright lies, but
they're not outright. Nope, they're
not outright. It's not going to be blatant, like, I'm going to make you a millionaire. Like, it won't be outright. It'll be like, on that line. And we know what that line is. You want to walk in and and you don't want to have to rely on a recruiter. You want to make sure you're tiered. You're not steered in a direction you didn't intend. Because quite frankly, I can speak from experience from going into my recruiter's office and being steered in a direction that I necessarily wasn't in favor for. But at the end of the day, it ended up great in the end. But everybody's story is not the same as mine. So the first thing I want to tell you guys is focus on the ASVAB. This is the building block of everything you're going to do in the military from an enlisted perspective. Ensure that your ASVAB, you take it seriously. I've had multiple people say, I just went in there, I just took it. I just, it's like an ACT. You cannot just go in there and just wing it. Don't wing it. Get a book, go on Amazon, go somewhere,
YouTube
try to
videos,
do YouTube
all kinds of
videos,
information.
people that you know, just try to get yourself together, because realize that the ASVAB is a litmus test and kind of show what aptitude you have to do the job that you're going to do. You'll be limited based on that ASVAB score. So if your ASVAB score is low, by proxy, guess what? You're not going to have that opportunity to do a whole lot of jobs. You want to do that very, niche job that is like amazing, you got to have the right ASVAB score. If you don't, then you might end up doing something else. But don't let that deter you either, because when I initially came in, I didn't have the highest ASVAB score, because I went in there and said, well, I'm just going to take the test. I really don't care. And then, yes, I passed. Yes, I got in, whatever. But then when it was time to retrain, which we will talk about at a later episode, that ASVAB score became a problem. And I had to go back and retake it and figure that piece out. So, like I said, ASVAB, high scores open the doors to think about careers like cyber, intelligence, medicine, like those career fields. You can't have a 30. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Can't have minimums.
They require a special and high amount of aptitude. So just be cognizant of that. Second, know the job you want. Don't go in there and say, hey, Sergeant Smith, I don't know what I want to do. Well, you know what, Sergeant Smith, you know what you want to do.
Sergeant Smith know what you want to do.
Look, man, think of recruiters, and I love recruiters. I got friends that are recruiters, but you got to think of them similar to a car salesman. You know that you need a car. And the car salesman know you need a car. Now, it depends on what kind of car you need and depends on what level you're at. Because if you're 24, do you really need that SUV with the rims and all that? No, you really need to get a point A and point B. But the recruiter might sell you on something that you might not necessarily be aligned with. So that's why before you go in there, you need to say, all right, what job do I want? Where's my, quote unquote passion? Because all the airmen, when I talk to them, they say, well, I didn't even want this job. Well, dude, you signed a contract. You went through the process. Why are you telling me at this point, when you're in tech school, you show up to your first duty station, you tell me you don't want to do this damn job? Bro, what? That don't make no sense. Does not compute. Does not compute. You messed up. So now you're signed on a dotted line, and it is what it is. It's almost like jumping into a marriage. And I don't mean to segue with that, but it's the same thing, man. How you gonna get mad? You married?
I don't like her.
You married, bro. You married her or you married him? How you gonna get mad now? You had rose-colored glasses in the beginning, and now you're like, nah, I'm not signing up. No, you in this, bro. It's too late. It's too late. Now just go forward and let's see if we can take those lemons and make it into lemonade. You feel me? So know your job, right? That's the golden invitation for them to tell you whatever job they want to get rid of, because they have quotas and they have jobs that are there that they need to, no kidding. We have high turnover rates for certain jobs. Security forces being one. Kay can talk about this. Security forces has a huge population footprint, like maintainers, like some other jobs. They constantly rotate in and out. So guess what? We constantly need them back in and out. So guess what? They're going to quickly, you want to leave your hometown right now. Got you. I could get you out tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Really? Yes. On the plane. We will set it up. You're good. Just keep your nose clean. Come to the airport. I got you. You'll be flying to San Antonio in no time. And then next thing you know, you in security forces and you're like, well, dude, I didn't want to
ask for that. Yeah. Well,
I just wanted to get out of town. Well, you messed up. Now you're in.
We got you out of town. We did exactly
we upheld, and that's why I said loosely based, like right up to that line. That recruiter got you out of town, like you said it would.
He did, she did.
But that ain't necessarily what you want to do your job. So just be mindful of that. All right. Look at the job, the list of MOSs for Army and Marines, AFSCs for the Air Force, and rates for the Navy. Read the descriptions, and not just the rose-colored descriptions. Like, you're going to be riding this Humvee and jumping out and shooting people, and just realize that
that
certain
is so
things.
funny, because there was like this crazy, like, it looks like security forces was like special warfare, and I was like, we're not those guys. We're not them. Calm it down. These pictures make us look like 10 out of 10, like we're the top dogs. No, that's We're not
Marketing,
special
marketing, right?
Marketing.
Marketing, right? And TC, when you were one CO, they probably told you like some stuff like you're gonna be flying with the air crew and doing all kind of stuff. And you get to your base and you're like, bro, it's like
I did start on security forces, and I felt exactly how Michaela felt with the.
Just look at that. Look
That's
at that.
exactly what made me want to do it, and it was not that at all. But then
you thought
with
you were jumping out Humvees and
Yeah, jumping out
arresting
of
people,
planes.
charging
Yeah.
weapon. Then we talk about that charging. What you
That's
just
pulling
they
up
said
on
you're gonna
people
get a
totally
gun,
different.
and I said, "Oh my gosh,
No.
that will happen."
It's not like that. It's not like that. Filling out those reports,
No,
taking
not
those
at all.
statements, being on that gate. You feel me? Being on that gate. Defender,
Yeah,
have a good day.
especially
It's
on
cold.
like your first year, 2 years, could be 3 if you don't like actually want it. On a gate, they don't
Yes.
tell you about that
Luckily-
for security
luckily
forces.
I
They're
didn't
like,
get
you're
that
gonna
far,
ride
so.
patrol, you're gonna arrest people, and I'm like,
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna be on patrol. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be shooting a radar gun. I'm gonna be catching people speeding. I'm gonna be doing investigations in people's houses. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
oh man, I
Serving
can't wait.
warrants.
Yeah, serving warrants, pulling people over. Oh, man, I can't wait. No. So just
literally.
realize that it's different. So read the descriptions and the fine print. And I will also say this. Here's the beauty of now versus back then. When I came in, it was no Reddit. It was no
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
it was no place where you could just post a
YouTube,
question.
reviews, yeah.
None of that.
Dang,
It was
when was that?
basically, hey, TC man, stop, man, stop. Don't date me right now. But you don't have this like, oh, hey, I got these jobs. They said I qualify for these. What do you think about them? And then people in those jobs will no kidding read it and say, hey, bruh, look, I'm in it right now. No, absolutely not. Now,
If that's what you think it is not, or whatever it is.
remember, but also remember perspective. I will tell you that because everybody's perspective is different. Like a job I might like, you might hate, and vice versa. So you just take in multiple different mediums of communication and information, and then you meld it together, make the most intelligent decision you can, and then you go forward. That's why I say find a mentor, post stuff online, have 3 jobs done inside and out. Measure, cut once, because this is your life. Once you lock in for 4 to 6 years, this is your life. And then third, earn the enlistment pipeline. So many people go in the military and they're like, well, you know what? I guess I'm gonna go to basic and then I'm in the active duty Air Force. No. Do you have some jobs have multiple different pipeline tracks? For instance, I'm a career enlisted aviator. We go to basic training. Then we go to what is called aircrew fundamentals, which aircrew fundamentals now is 38 days, which has changed. And then you go to your, no kidding, FTU. And then you go from your FTU to another training, which is basically MQT. And then you go on to your base. So it's multiple different levels of this. And you're like, well, dude, am I not in the Air Force? Dude, you might not actually hit the ground on your base really doing your job for about a year or 2, depending on the AFSC.
It's about
So
right.
just be mindful and know the enlisted pipeline, because when you don't know it, you're like, well, dude, I didn't sign up for this. This is not right. I thought I would be,
Instant
jumping out of
action.
Humvees. Yeah, I thought I'd be jumping out of Humvees by now.
Instant
No, bro, you got things to do before you do that. So, knowing the enlisted pipeline, go in the initial chat with the recruiter, taking an ASVAB, a trip to the MEPS station for a full physical and job selection, and then swearing into the delayed entry program. The DEP is the waiting period after you've signed up, but before you ship out to basic training. Knowing these steps means you won't feel rushed or confused. So you'll know what comes next, so you'll know what to expect, and it'll help you out. Does that make sense? I'm sure it does. All right, fourth, this is the last thing. This is very critical because, you're like, all right, cool. I took my ASVAB, I scored high. I got 80s. All right, next. I know what job I want. I know the 3 jobs I want. Cool, I'm great. I want cyber, I want intel, and I want to jump out of Humvees and be a security forces person. Cool. All right, next.
Sweet. Let's roll.
Next. All right, I know the enlistment pipeline. I know if I get one of these jobs, I'm going to go to basic, then I'm going to go this, and then I'm going to go that. Cool, I got it down. All right, the last part that you need to know for freaking basic training. They got people out there who haven't ran at all, who don't even run, who don't do nothing. They just like, I'll get it when I get there.
No.
This is setting you up for
No.
failure.
No.
And
You
you
are
will be
setting
stuck
your
there.
Yeah,
You
they'll
will be
stick
in
you
stuck
there.
there.
basic training.
I've seen it happen.
Go ahead, tell it, Kay.
It's terrible. If you don't pass a PT test or if you just can't get with the program, they will wash you back and you have to
Yeah.
have like a reason to leave basic training, because once you step off that plane and hop onto that bus, you walk into that base, you are starting your contract.
Mhm.
So unless you get medically disqualified or like for whatever mental reason or they find an issue, there's no going back. You can't just be like, I quit, I'm done. No, they're
Nope.
gonna be like,
The
yep,
best
you're
way,
gonna wake up
the
tomorrow
best way
morning,
through
you're
it is
gonna have
through it.
breakfast. Yep. The
The best
best
way
way
through it
is
is through it.
literally graduating, because I know a lot of people who tried to just not
Yep.
pass a PT test
Find a
and they're
way to,
like, oh,
yep.
we'll just keep you on med hold. I went to tech school
Yeah.
and people were still
If,
at BMT.
yeah, it's rough.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Nope.
And
Nope.
the big thing I think people have an adjustment with is the physical aspect and then the time management piece. Can you pass the run, which is 2 miles out for the Air Force, by the way.
Mhm.
So that is something different than what we had before. Can you do the push-ups? Now, push-ups, they kicked people's butt, right, Kay? You can only do 1. I know. And LJ, you could probably do 5. So it
Did.
kicks people's
Calm it
butt.
down. Not too much now. That's crazy.
These are true
Sit-ups.
stories.
Okay, if you got that tire around your belly, you got to figure out a way to lose it. That preparation age ain't gonna hit like it used to hit. So you got to figure out how to get your stuff together, man. Guess what? The easiest way to do this, because I hate when people be like, "Well, you know what? This is how I'm gonna train for the test. Instead of doing a run, I'm a walk, jog, run. I'm a
Do
walk,
squats.
jog, run, walk, jog, run." And you think that's gonna do it? Oh,
Nope.
instead of doing the sit-ups, ah man, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do these
I'm a
side
plank.
bends. I'm gonna do a plank. I'm gonna do
Plank.
something else. Do exactly what the test is. Don't sit back and try to do something else and try to think you're gonna beat the game and do something different, because it ain't gonna work, man. And then lastly, gather your documents, right? A lot of kids, when you're preparing for basic training, people that haven't been away from home like myself and stuff, I did everything in New Orleans. I hadn't been out the city until I went to basic training. So have your social security card, have your birth certificate, have your high school diploma, because they might say, hey man, guess what? You're not even eligible to join because we don't have a copy of your high school diploma. You'd be
That's
like,
what
what?
happened to me.
It
Oh, yeah?
happens. It happens.
I went to, so this was after basic training though. I went into tech school and they pulled me aside and they had me talk to investigator, and they were like, yeah, we're
dang.
not tracking your school. And I was like, excuse me? Because my program was weird. I went through College of Southern Nevada, their high school program, and I graduated through them with my college, with my associate's degree. And they were like, yeah, we don't even see that this is like a valid school. And I was like, that's crazy, because I just spent 2 years at
Dang,
that school.
fraudulent enlistment. Yeah,
Yep.
that's what they thinking.
And eventually they did find the school, and I was like, okay, good, because my phone's dead, can't call my mom. There's this whole thing, I'm stressing out. And they were like, yeah, we'll get back to you if we don't see anything or if we need anything else. And I was like, okay, good.
Whew,
But yeah,
that's
Yeah.
scary.
yeah, it was,
That's
Get
I
scary.
had
ready. Yeah.
I did have my like diplomas and like my certificates and stuff, so it was good that I had it. But yeah, you gotta have your transcripts, know where all your stuff is, because if they're not tracking that your school, or if, I think it was one word that was like weird, I don't think that I mentioned. It was College of Southern Nevada High School Northwest Campus, and I didn't mention the campus, and they were like, yeah, that's not a thing. So even if you miss a word on your school, they're gonna be like, yeah, I don't see it. So just be
Yeah.
I mean,
particular, know where your stuff is, have your stuff in a row,
Loaded.
because
Loaded.
you
Yep.
gotta be able to prove, yes, I did go to school. Yes, I am educated just a
Yes,
little
I
bit.
freaking graduated.
so to that point, have your paperwork in line, man. Before you go to tech school, before you go to basic training, have all your ducks in a row, and then also have digital copies. Take pictures of it. I got digital copies and I got hard copies. So then if I lose something, then I have that. I could go either or, and you can easily rectify a situation if something arises. Basically, showing up with all your ducks in a row, it basically shows that you're serious, man, and you're serious about your journeys. That's the key part for me. All right, back over to you, Kev.
So now that we've done the research, the homework, Combs, you talk a lot about this on your platform. what rules should potential recruits follow to keep control of the conversation?
All right, yeah. So rule number one is you're going to want to get everything in writing. Like they spoke on earlier, they might have experience hearing stories as well. Some recruiters, they have to meet a quota, right? Some may or may not tell you what they need to tell you in order for them to meet their quota, especially if it's like at the end of the year or something like that. So it doesn't matter if they offer you $10,000. You need to have that in writing. When you go to MEPS, you need to have that in writing when you sign that contract. If they say something like, don't worry, we'll sort it out later. No, don't do that. That is a huge, huge red flag.
Hey,
Let's not
TC,
do
hey,
that.
man, look, listen, we'll sort this out later, man. Let me just get you on that plane.
Yeah,
You
it don't
good.
work like that. It don't work like
We'll,
that. I
we'll,
will not
we'll
be on
work it
that
out
plane.
later. Call me directly.
By that time, it's going to be too late.
Yeah, they got you. You all
Yeah,
I
they got you.
got you.
Yep. Because there are plenty of people I know who didn't get their promised bonus because it wasn't in writing.
That's what I'm saying. So a lot of us have heard those stories, and you definitely do not want that to happen. You don't want that to be the first thing that's the first thing you see and notice when you join the military. So that's not going to be a good taste in your mouth. You're going to want to firmly insist that you see that stuff in writing. When you're at MEPS, and like I said, you're signing that contract, you need to see that stuff in writing. If they can't show you, you just going to have to walk away because you're not going to get that money. So number two is going to be honesty. Radical honesty is your only move. So when I joined, my recruiter was telling me, if something was wrong with me, do not tell them when you go to MEPS. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other people heard that as well.
Yeah, don't say that.
Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing.
On some
So,
other stuff.
and I've heard that from a lot of people as well. A lot of other people where their recruiter told them to say the same thing because, again, they're probably trying to meet their quotas or they're trying to get you into the Air Force. But they're going to ask you about everything. They're going to ask you about your medical history, legal trouble, anything, you name it. They're going to ask you. So what you're going to do is you're going to tell the truth because if you don't tell the truth, they're going to find out. And one thing with that is that can be considered, or that is a fraudulent enlistment, and you don't want to start your career off with that. Because you spoke about the discharges earlier. That is a huge thing. And if you get a fraudulent enlistment, you're not going to get honorable discharge. Probably not. You're probably not going to get general either. You're probably going to get a dishonorable discharge. You've probably only been in for about a month. So let's not do that. The military's background checks and medical exams at MEPS are incredibly thorough. They're going to find anything. Just tell the truth about it anyways. Just start with the truth. Like I mentioned, it is a fraudulent enlistment and it is your one-way ticket out of the military. So rule number 3 is ask those hard questions. So like this whole segment is about is you leading the conversation. You are leading the meeting. So have questions set, ask those questions. Don't be shy. Have a list of questions. Go in with research, knowing what you're getting yourself into. So real quick, I'm gonna give you a few questions that you can ask. So get your pen and paper and write these down. So if the job I want isn't available the day I go to MEPS, what's the plan? The next one is, what are the most common reasons people fail the training for this specific job? Next is, can you show me right here in the contract where my job guarantee and my bonus are listed? What daily life really like for a brand new service member in this job? And the last rule is bring back up. So on my TikTok channel, a lot of people hit me up and they ask me questions. This is the number one thing that I tell them. And I've gone to recruiter offices with a whole bunch of people as well, because like we keep on saying, they need to meet quotas. You need to get everything in writing. You need to make sure all that stuff is done. So if you have a parent, a sharp friend, or a veteran, or somebody who's actually in the military at the moment, let them go with you, because they can be that middleman. They can tell you when you are hearing BS because they've been through the process already. They know what it is like in the actual operational Air Force. This is not about being confrontational. It's your career. You need to make sure you're straight. It's about having a second set of ears, and it's going to keep you grounded. Making huge life decisions like this under pressure is tough, but if you got somebody, some support with you, you're straight.
Yeah, I would argue, and Kayla will definitely agree with me. When she was going through her enlistment process, I walked right up in there. I was her mentor, along with her mom, that walked her through, and her father as well, walking through that. She had a whole army right there next to her, literally making sure.
Yeah, no, because like there was a lot of people with me, and she'd be like, "Wow, you're just bringing the whole family." I was like, "Yeah, man, this is a big decision." It got to point where she was like, I want to know when they're going to be there, specifically when Sledge was there, because I don't know if she felt intimidated or whatever, but I think it was his rank that she was like, okay, I want to know when he's there. So that way, I don't know, so she can like,
Wait,
I don't
hold on. Wait, let
I'm
me just say this.
approachable. I'm approachable.
No, you are, but here's the deal. When I'm doing what's right, I ain't got no reason to hide that. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who show up. Because that's how I roll. Like, they'd be like, hey, man, you being too real. I don't care who's around because this is how I am every time. So when people see it, it's not like I can't believe
Surprise.
he's talking so real and keeping him and saying what it needs to be said. Bro, that is a quintessential sign of, hey, all right, no jokes. I can't play around. I got to keep it on the up and up with her because then I might end up getting in trouble, blah, blah. Yeah. Just keep it real all the time. Tell these people the truth. Even if the truth is not what they want to hear. You know, hey, you be real with people. Hey, I got a quota to meet. This is what I got. You could take this or not take it. And then we
They
can
did that
wait,
to my
roll the
wife.
dice. We
They did
can
to my
roll the
wife.
dice. Look, we could roll the dice later on and see what's out
Yeah.
there for you. But I'm gonna tell you like this: you want to go cyber? Guess what? Cyber's already taken up. So I guess I'll see you next year, and that's fine. Just keep it real with them.
Yeah,
We don't have to lie. People respect that, man. So that's just my 2 cents.
So actually, when you do hear that from recruiters, though, it could not be the best way to, I guess, to do stuff. They did that with my wife, and me being prior server, I was actually in at the time I was a staff. It didn't seem right. It's to me and to her, it seemed like they were trying to get her to do these jobs, not they were trying to be honest. So you have to understand the difference of, and be able to tell the difference when someone is trying to be honest with you or just trying to get you into the military. So not all of them are just trying to get you into the military. Some are doing what you say.
True, I agree.
Well, given all of that, potential recruits also need to be aware of things that can stop their enlistment process. The Department of Defense or War has a long list of disqualifying medical conditions. Things that seem minor in civilian life can be huge for the military. For medical, a history of certain mental health issues, prescriptions for things like ADHD, chronic illnesses, bad allergies, even poor eyesight can require a waiver, or they could be disqualifying altogether. For legal and moral things, felonies are almost always a no-go. Certain misdemeanors or a history of drug use can also stop you from enlisting. You will need a high school diploma or a GED. You have to be a U.S. citizen or a legal resident with the right paperwork. Again, the key is honesty. The standards are high for a reason, but waivers do exist for a reason too. Put it all on the table and let the recruiters see if there's a path forward for you. There's literally a waiver for probably almost everything. If you have the right recruiter, they will find you a waiver. Hype, back to you.
Bottom line, deciding to join the military is one of the biggest moves you'll ever make. It was the best decision I ever made. Period. Dot. I can only imagine it'd be the same for you, the same vibrations. It's a very honorable path, but it demands your full freaking attention. Pay attention. Ask the questions. Get the mentors. It is a life decision that you're going to make that's going to change your trajectory forever. Good, bad, or ugly. Walking into that recruiter's office, that's day one. And day one, you need to have all your ammunition packed as much as you can before you walk in there. Who's in control? Either you're in control or they're in control. There is a balance. The recruiter does have certain power, but you have certain power too. They want you. There's certain things that you bring to the table. So they want that talent. So you have to make sure you understand it so you can maximize it, all right? You got to know what's going on so that you can align and match. To recap everything that we talked about, the recruiter is a salesperson with a quota. We need certain things in order to make this Air Force continue or make the United States military continue to go. So you got to do your own damn research, though. Figure out where you fit into it. Research the ASVAB. Take the test. Don't just walk in there. That's what I did. I did okay, but I would not recommend that to the next generation. I need you guys to do your research. There's too many tools. There's no excuses why you can't prepare to do this if you want to do this. So ASVAB, look up your jobs, look up the process before you even think about walking in there, okay? Otherwise, they're going to run that show versus you have the ability to run some of that show. Item 3, run the meeting. Get everything in writing. Be brutally honest and ask the tough questions. I don't care if you look like a nuisance to them. That is your life. You got to walk through it. You have to walk the path. So don't be afraid to ask those questions. You put that recruiter in the hot seat, that's their problem. They should be able to answer those questions. No problem if they're doing it right. Okay? And if you can, bring somebody with you, whether it's your parents or whether it's a veteran, whether it's someone who's been through the pipeline themselves, any ammunition. You see, like Michaela said, it puts recruiters into a corner. It makes them straighten up and fly right if they're not straightening up and flying right. Yep. So with that, if you listen to what we all had to say, you would be at least within the 90th percentile of being prepared to walk through that front door. You have the intelligence, you have the due diligence, you have all that to make the process work for you and your family and everybody else who's involved in it, all right? This isn't about outsmarting the recruiter. That's not what we're trying to do. The recruiter been in the game for a lot of time. They know what they're doing as well. It's literally just making sure that your enlistment serves your future as much as it serves the military. You're doing an alignment. So we want to make sure whenever you can be, you are the one that's in command. You are driving the bus when it's your turn to drive the bus. Because if somebody else is driving your bus, you might not like the choices that are made as a result of it. All right. Then you're bitter, disgruntled, and upset and angry. That's all. That's a bunch of crap. We're telling you now you have that information. There's no excuses now. We don't want to hear it. You got to do the due care in order to make that happen. So with that, we'll wrap this thing up. If you like what you heard this week, let us know by liking, subscribing, and sharing SCIIF International Podcast. And of course, make sure you visit T. Combs' TikTok platforms for more recruiting tips and tricks. T. Combs, one more time, where can we find you, my man?
So on TikTok, it'll be Hear Me Out, HEARMEOUT.
Sweet. So now we want to hear from you guys. What branch are you guys thinking about? What job has your attention? Make sure you guys drop those in the comments. If you guys have any ASVAB questions or anything else like that, we're bipartisan. We don't care. We'll answer to the best of our ability to make sure you're on the right path and get to the right department. Until then, stay sharp, good luck, and thanks again for your time. SCIIF International signing out. Cool? Out. Later.